Has the crypto bull market finally arrived? And I'll tell you what, we're certainly off to a great start. I mean, Bitcoin is up over 30% in the last month. Bitcoin dominance is hitting new multi-year highs, and altcoins are popping off left and right to the extent that some are doing 50% plus moves in less than a week. So what I want to do in today's video is really kind of hone in and answer this question of where is the crypto market at right now? I mean, are we in a bull market? Are we in a bear market? Are we still in these transitional phases with this big move that Bitcoin and a lot of altcoins saw? Does this mean that it's the top? So there's a lot of unanswered questions, and we're going to be looking at the market as a whole, but also some of these altcoins that are popping off, because I think it's important to note that, crypto certainly is on the uptick right now, especially when you look at traditionals on a pretty sharp downtrend. These two charts almost look like they are opposite from one another when you look at something like Bitcoin compared to the S&P 500. So there is certainly a lot of positive stuff happening in the world of cryptocurrency. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Brendan, and welcome to the Crypto Analyst channel. It's certainly great to have you all here. And all that I ask is that if you like the content that I make, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. So let's start things off with Bitcoin first. What in the world is happening here? Well, for a while we talked about, hey, if Bitcoin is able to break outside of this consolidation zone that it's been in for the larger portion of this year, going all the way from 25K up to around 31K, this is where we saw the bulk of the consolidation done. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we've already made videos on it. But with Bitcoin kind of forming inside of here, the main point that we made is that, hey, if we break out to the upside, the next immediate resistance is going to be to the mid to upper 30,000s. And the main reason why we said that is if we go all the way back into the beginning of 2022, that we can see that the bulk of this consolidation zone was around the mid to upper 30,000s. So I'm going to zoom out really big now, but if we can see that, hey, we are topping out around the low 30,000s, and the next main resistance point is going to be this previous point of consolidation support, which is about maybe $5,000 to $6,000 higher than our previous highs. And so the prediction always was, hey, if we break this zone, we're immediately going to move up into this zone, which is exactly what we've done so far. So now as Bitcoin is getting up into that mid to upper 30,000s, it's just barely touching the mids because it was able to peak at just above 35,000 right here. But with it doing this, it is starting to get into a point of resistance. Now, does that mean that it has to tank? No. Does that mean that it will start to struggle? And I think the answer is yes, just a little bit. We'll probably see it slow down. In fact, we've already started to see it slow down a little bit because, again, it's coming up on a point of resistance. So as it gets closer to 35, 36, 37, this is going to be a little bit of a tougher area to break through than what we saw over here. Now, the reason that there was a lack of movement here, or excuse me, an increase in volatility and an increase in movement is because the lack of resistance in this zone. You can see that there's not a lot going on the chart inside this land. It's pretty much just a no man's land. And so we have Bitcoin just tearing to the upside to its next point of resistance. And who's to say that it doesn't come up here, maybe retest a former point of resistance as a new and established point of support. And so there's a lot of possibilities here, but I do want to kind of just get on here and say, hey, Bitcoin is certainly approaching resistance. Even if it pulls back a little bit here, that's a completely perfect and healthy thing to see on the Bitcoin chart. And the industry as a whole is still looking really, really good. I mean, you look at Ethereum. Ethereum's now up and at its 200-day moving average, which it hasn't done since August of this year. You look at something like the Total 2, which is the representation of the altcoin market, and this thing is actually closing above its 200-day moving average and what looks to be and have the potential of a break, hook, and go. And the cool story here on the altcoin chart, or the Total 2, is that this is something that we've talked about, and this support that we have mentioned multiple times on the channel has held for the entirety of this year, and this month was no exception to that. We came down, gave everyone a great chance to enter in on altcoins, and now it's skyrocketing again. And even if we go and we look at something like Bitcoin dominance, this is what I mean when I said Bitcoin dominance is hitting new multi-year highs. The Bitcoin dominance chart from over the last year or so is just a nice, consistent uptrend. And if we zoom all the way out, this is the highest point that we've seen on Bitcoin dominance since April of 2021, which is about 2.5 years ago. Now, to answer the original question, is the bull market finally here? I think it's safe to say that we're out of a bear market. And that's going to be a controversial statement. But the reason that I'm saying that is because the definition of a bear market is seeing lower lows with lower highs underneath its moving averages, rejecting major moving averages like the 200. And all of that we saw during this bear market, where previous support was being tested as newfound resistance right here and here and here and here, and that whole cycle that we had of being underneath and rejecting the 200-day moving average, or this yellow line, we're seeing the exact opposite of that now. Bitcoin is now seeing higher lows, higher highs. It's above all of its major moving averages. It's testing them as support, and it's breaking out back towards the upside. And it's been doing this. It's not like it's just been a month or two. This all started at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023, right back here. So we've been doing this in the crypto market for almost a year now. So I think it's hard to say that making a year's worth of higher highs and higher lows would mean that we're still in a bear market. Now, does that mean that we have to go parabolic back to our market highs? It doesn't mean that. But I think it does mean that the worst is probably behind us, and that it's a possibility that we won't see 15K ever again, if not for a very long time. So, fingers crossed, knock on wood, the markets are looking really healthy. And I think that's the main point that I'm trying to make out of this is I saw the other day people calling for like an imminent 12K Bitcoin. And, listen, I can't give you financial advice, but I think that kind of stuff is such a bunch of baloney. And it's like fear mongering, and it's causing all kinds of FUD, and I'm not paying any attention to it. The technicals look great, and we still have so much fundamental stuff on the horizon between these ETFs and other financial institutions wanting to create exchanges and the halving, and there's so much going on in the background that's correlating with positive price action. So I am stoked about where the crypto markets are heading. Could it pull back? Absolutely, and it would be a healthy thing. But overall, the crypto markets are looking really good. And I promised I'd show a few altcoins, but you have things like Chainlink, which in the last week is up over 50%. You have other things like Solana, which is in the same kind of scenario, which is up almost like 50-60% in the last week and a half. And these things are popping off left and right. I mean, you can go and you can look at the MakerDAO chart. It looks great. You can go look at like the Graph or AGIX or Aave, and all these different charts are just taking off to the upside. Aave is another great example because it was able to do, my tool's not working here. There we go. It was able to do about 50% in 5 days. And there's just so many that are doing this. So I hope all of you are enjoying the rally that we're seeing across the board of cryptocurrency. And again, if you enjoyed the content that we make over here, again, all we ask is that you hit the like button, you hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get more updates like this one, you can certainly join us in Crypt Nation or check out any of the links in the description down below as well. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you in next week's video.